Literacy is so important, and it's hard to interact with the world of words when you have a visual impairment, either if you're a parent who's blind or visually impaired or a child who's blind or visually impaired. But there are some ways that you can interact with books and words as a family. So take a seat and let's talk. Hello everybody! Today I'm going to show you some really good ideas that you can use if you are a parent of a child with a visual impairment, or if you yourself are a parent with a visual impairment, for still being able to enjoy reading and get to bond over books with your child. And so these are some ideas that I've found over my experience being a parent with a visual impairment, but also teaching young kids who are blind or visually impaired. And so I'm gonna start here with puppet books. So these books have like a little puppet that you can stick your finger in the back, or two fingers, however you want to do it, to like make the little puppet move up and down. This book is a very simple book, and it's also one of those kinds of books that you can memorize the words to. I haven't memorized this one yet, but it's also got very nice, like, bold outlines for the pictures. Very easy to see if you have some vision, but also without vision, your baby or child can get to feel the puppet, and you can move it around and make it interact while you're reading the story, so they can still kind of get to use their sense of touch and sense of hearing to enjoy a story with you. So there's one option. Another option is books with really high contrast, very easy to see images and large text. Usually books for little kids, preschool age, kindergarten, first grade, have large print in them already, just because those ages your eyes are still kind of developing to the kind of vision that you might have for the rest of your time in school. And so they like to use bigger print, and it's more engaging too, and more easy to recognize letters as they're learning letters and stuff like that. But this is very useful for somebody like me who can still kind of see print enough to read small things like, two peaches. I can see that. It's very big. And also I can see the pictures. For me, sometimes images, especially of real life things, can be hard for me to detect because of the shadows and just there's no real like bold outline to distinguish the different parts, or if they're in the foreground, background. But these books, this one's got a really nice just white background, and the main event here is the fruits and vegetables that are being displayed on the page, and so that's very helpful to me. And it can be very helpful to a child with low vision if you find books like this where the images are very easy to locate and take a look at. So there's another option. Something else that I wanted to let you guys know about this one's kind of like a two-part demonstration here. So first, this is a touchy-feely book. So the ears here are nice and fuzzy and soft. You can feel the tail. It's got the outline and the different texture inside of that portion of the image. Here you can feel the feet. So this is one of those. This is an Usborne book, but they also have these in all sorts of publishers have little kid books like this with different textures and things that they can feel and manipulate on the pages. Even like the lift the flap books are fun, because those are things that even if you can't read what is on the page, you can still talk to your baby and your toddler, your young child, about the textures and have them describe what the things are, how they feel, what they do. This book also has Braille on it. I don't know if you can see that with the camera. But this Braille was put on here by the Seedlings company. And so Seedlings is a program where you can purchase books like this with Braille placed on top of it. So what they use is like a kind of like a clear labeling material, and they place the Braille on it, and then they, you know, take that label off and stick it on the pages where the text is, which is super great for being able to share that experience of reading. So somebody who is totally blind can read this book together with somebody who can still get to see the illustrations on each of the pages. So in my family's case, I can still see some of the pictures, but for me, the Braille is what I read, and my baby can take a look at the print letters that's on the page, and also the illustrations, and we can look at the textures together. And so if you're interested in finding books like this, you can find resources online. It's pretty easy. If you just Google like Braille books for kids, you'll probably see search results for Seedlings. You'll see the National Braille Press on there. The National Federation of the Blind has some resources for little kids too. They've got like a Braille Pals program where they send a kid who is blind or visually impaired a little stuffed animal that they can read to, and they send them like one book a year or something like that. So there's lots of really cool programs out there like that. Another option I've got for you is memorizing a story. I've made a short video about this before, but this is actually really a great way that I feel like I'm actually giving him that kind of lesson in reading and recognizing words, because I'm actually reading the words that are on the page, but by memory, so without needing to read the Braille or struggle to look at the letters and try to figure out what they're saying. You know, I can just say, Touchy loves to touch the things he loves, and then we go to the next page. And he really loves this book for some reason. He loves, I guess maybe because the octopus is kind of funny looking. Maybe he loves octopuses, and or octopi, octopodes. I don't know, however you want to pluralize that word, but he really loves them with their 8 tentacles, and just they look funny and they're cool to him, I guess. But my point here is, if you just memorize the story, you can recognize something about the book. Like for me, it's like the shape of this book, how it's kind of like a square. It's a bigger book, about the length of my hand. I can usually recognize it amongst the other books that he's got. I can also see the octopus on the front. And I've also got an app on my phone if I'm struggling to recognize a book. I've got an app that I can take a picture of something with text on it, and it can usually read most print and handwriting, and read it to me and let me know what it is. You can also do that with your camera. I have a Samsung, so if I take a picture of something and I go to the gallery and select an image, I can use Bixby Vision to detect text or objects or whatever's in the image, which is pretty cool. And you can use that to help you memorize a book. If there's nobody around to read it to you, you can have your phone read it to you until you get to memorize the words on each page. Alright, so my next option here I'm going to show you, this is a book that I have at work. It's a very well-loved book. I had to duct tape it back together. The spine is missing somehow. And so you can see the metal rings here that hold it together. They used to be covered up. But this book is called, I think it's called Four Little Corners. And this is another one of those like twofold things. It's got Braille, so you can feel and see on the inside maybe the Braille dots, but it's also got print. But what's also cool about this book is that it's an interactive book. And so it's a touchy-feely book. Everything's got its own texture, so you can identify the different dots that are here, the circles, and their friend here, the little square. And they are trying to get into this building here that's got a circle door. And so at the beginning here you can see, and this is made of some like plastic material with gridding on it. But these circles here actually come off, and you can have your baby, toddler, maybe toddler because babies might not have the coordination yet, to put the circles in through the hole and stick them inside. And at the end of the story, so we're going to keep turning, there's actually other interactive components here where they tried to see if the square can be more round so he can fit through the door. Planning what to do. Then they decide that they're going to cut the corners of cut the door to have corners so that it's a square, not a circle. And then everybody can fit inside. And so here at the end, the door is now a square, and the square can fit through the door and be able to go inside with everybody. And this is a fun book because even if you don't memorize all the words or how it goes, you can tell what's going on each page, and you can just make up your own version of the story. And there's interactive parts too that you and the baby can do together. So this one's a fun one. This one, I feel like this one's through the American Printing House maybe, or that's another company that makes educational materials and also like storybooks and things like that for kids with visual impairments, the American Printing House. This one might be from somewhere else though, and I can't read the publishing company, or it might have gotten ripped off by the spine that's missing here. But that's another good resource if you're trying to find books or materials to use with your baby. Here is another option. This one's actually available for everybody. You can get these kinds of books online, at the store. This one right now that I'm showing you is a Leapfrog company book. This is their 100 Animals book. They've got like 100 words, 100 things that go. I think VTech also has books like this where it's like interactive nursery rhymes, and when you turn the pages, it reads the nursery rhyme to you. So I'm going to turn this one on so you can kind of see what it does.
A baby duck is called a duckling.
So I just touched a duck and it told me that fun fact. You can set it to different things. You can set it to just the names of the animals.
Animal names.
Where I had it was the fun facts, and then fun sounds. This one's really good for younger babies when they're just really interested in sounds of things. My baby likes to try to copy all the sounds he hears, and he thinks it's hilarious. But if you want to start teaching them the names, then you can start. You don't really even need to know where things are on the page. If you just like point your finger and touch something, the baby will see what you're pointing at, and then they'll start getting the concept, and you guys can share time together exploring different animals. Let's see what we got here.
Rainforest, toucan, parrot, toucan, lemur.
And there you go. That's just an example. And so they've also got books like this, like what is it called? It used to be called like the Leap Pad or the Quantum Pad. I think they've got different names for it now. But you can get like a base machine, like a plastic little binder thing, and then inside you can insert different books that come with cartridges. They've probably got a more advanced version now that probably hooks up to a phone or something, but you can just explore so many different stories like that in audio version with the pictures and the words there for you to look at. And they even got interactive ones where it teaches different concepts, you know, the solar system, parts of the body, all that kind of stuff. It's very, very cool. And, you know, you don't want the books to do the teaching only. It's very cool that you can maybe step away for a minute and they can still be entertained with that and learn something. But the best way I feel to use something like this would be together, because you can talk about it after you hear something. You can be kind of like the facilitator or kind of like the main teacher, and this is just your tool, your instrument for teaching. Okay, let's see if he doesn't fall down there for me. You good, buddy? Okay. My last example here that I'm going to show you, and there are probably more things that you can look at and come up with on your own, but here is a busy board book kind of thing. So a busy board is kind of like one of those things that has lots of manipulatives, like you know, clips and buttons and things like that for them to feel and explore with their hands. This is a really great tool. This one is a book version, so you can like pack it up and everything stays contained and it's all attached mostly. Here we've got like a shoelace tying thing. We've got snaps and flaps, different types of belts with like the holes and the kind that you just like slide through. This is, what's this? Oh, this is like I've got a coat that's got something like this where it's just like this, the little rope, and it's got a little bead at the end of one end so that when it slips through it doesn't come out. So this isn't literature per se, but it's got concepts and things that you guys can sit, you know, the baby can sit on your lap, toddler can sit on your lap, and you guys can work on together, talk about it. This one's got the alphabet, or most of the alphabet. We're missing 2 letters already. I use this mostly with my nephew right now. He's 3, because the baby probably would more appreciate getting to chew on these things that come off. But what's good about this is if you do have a young baby and you don't want them to have these little pieces yet, you can unzip this middle page and put it away for later. So here's another part. It's got like, I think this is numbers. Over here we've got different sea animals, which a lot of them are probably floating around out there somewhere. On this page we've got different types of measurements and like time telling. So this goes pretty advanced up to like, you know, early grade school level kind of stuff. Here's some more clasps and strings and stuff like that. Gears up here to play with. Oh, they kind of got misaligned, but there you go. See, they spin together. This is like a little puzzle. If you take them all apart, then you have to try to figure out which hole they were in. There's 4 shapes here. So this is really cool. And like I said, I know it's not literature per se, but there's lots of concepts and words and things that you can talk about. Another option is making your own books, because then you're familiar with the story and you know, get to share something very special and unique with your baby. Actually, let me see if I can pull out a book that I made. Hang on right there. All right, so here I have a little book. You can get the base, like some blank board book packs on Amazon or any store that sells like blank office supplies like books and school supplies, Oriental Trading, those kind of places. And all I did here is just print out some stuff that I found online, like a little image that says animals on it. And on the inside, I have a story that I wrote. And I used material. This is just like a fabric sample. It's actually ripping apart because my baby really loves this book and he loves tugging at the little strings that I cut here. But on each page I used different textures, different types of ways to reveal the animals. They are too small for me to see, most of them. I can tell down here there's a little crab because he's nice and bright and red and like crab shaped. And I can see the whale, but some of the other animals I have trouble seeing because it's so small. I could use a larger board book size, but this is the size that came when I first wanted to like try this out. This is the size that I found. And so for each page, see now this is like a different texture, and these fabric samples you can get for free online if you go to different like custom furniture websites. So like if you go to a site for I think this one's called Interior Define or something like that, for making your own custom couch, and you pick the texture and stuff like that, they let you select like 10 swatches. And they're pretty big, nice sized, if you can see here, like it's a pretty big size piece, and I cut this down so that it would fit on the page. You can pick the color that you want, the texture, I mean, of course, according to what they have available, but they have lots of different shades and textures. This one's really nice and fuzzy. This is leather, flip it down, and so if you want to do like crafts like this, it's very inexpensive. See, like this is just printed paper here. If I wanted to, I have some of that labeling material that I can braille on because I have access to a brailler, but you could even get like a braille label maker if you wanted to. And I just, used glue dots to glue the fabric onto the pages, and just regular like a glue stick or liquid glue to get the printed images to stick on. And there you go, there's a little book that you can make. It's all nice and personalized. Really, it could be whatever you want it to be. It could even just be, I made another book about the ABCs, but using items that are familiar to my baby, so things that he sees around the house that he can recognize. And I just copied and pasted images of those things into a document, and then I cut out the pages so that they would fit together. And I used one of those it's kind of like a sliding project folder binding part, like I don't know how to describe it. It's like a plastic thing that like slides onto a set of pages with like the plastic filming around the outside to keep it all together to make like a little project book. You probably used them for school a long time ago or something, but there you go. Those are my examples of things that you can use to still get to enjoy literacy and books with your baby. Of course, even just reading cereal boxes or talking about the day of the week. If you've got a paper calendar still up at your house, we've got a guide dogs calendar that the local guide dog school sends us once a year, and he loves that calendar. He loves every morning saying good morning to the puppy of the month and saying good night to the puppy, and we point to the numbers on the calendar because I can still kind of see the grid around the dates. If you want to be able to do something like that too, and you can't see the grid around the dates, you could take there's stuff like called like tactile marking tape that comes in different widths, different thicknesses, and you can use the really thin one to just create like a tactile border around certain things. If you want to be able to point to them, talk to your baby about them. There's also things like puffy paint If it's for something that's more permanent, something that's, you're not going to throw away later, and you want to take the time to put puffy paint on it to create a tactile outline for yourself, you can do that. There's so many things you can do. There's tactile stickers, like foam shapes and gems and all sorts of things that you can use to create tactile elements if you're trying to make a book, or even just make something at home that helps you identify things or helps your baby identify things as you learn to read together. So hopefully this was a little bit interesting, a little bit helpful to you. Let me know if you think of any other ideas that I didn't show you today, or if you have any questions about anything that I did show you, and let's talk.